Next, we have baritone Peter Manning, who's singing the bass part in today's performance. Hi, Peter.
How are you?
Could you start by telling us a little bit about yourself, where you went to school, your background, and where you're at with your own performance here in the Royal Irish Academy?
Sure. I'm from Kilcock in County Kildare, and I went to school in St Finian's College, like Sarah, in Mullingar, and I was also part of the Schola Cantorum music programme there. And after school, after my leaving cert, I had always been singing throughout secondary school and primary school, with musical societies, local choirs, that type of thing. And I always wanted to study music and maybe something else academically before studying it at a full-time performance level as I am now in the academy. So following school I went to Maynooth University and I studied Irish and music, and I went on to do my master's in musicology. And then after that, I decided to come here to the Academy, and I'm currently finishing my studies on the Recital Artist Diploma postgraduate course. So, loving it.
So, yeah, quite a trajectory through music.
Yes, yeah.
Absolutely. And Peter, when you were in St Finian's, when you did your leaving cert, I think you did the leaving cert the same year as me. So
I did,
you had the
yeah.
B course, didn't you?
Yes.
You didn't study the Bach.
No. So I'm coming to Bach, to this work completely with fresh eyes, fresh ears. I studied organ in school, in secondary school, so I had a little knowledge of Bach through that. But this is kind of my first, and I studied the John Passion in Maynooth as a choral society member. But this is my first opportunity to sing a cantata by Bach, and this one in particular. So.
And to that end, what are your impressions of this piece, just as coming to it for the first time?
Yeah, I think it's beautiful. Bach is a fantastic composer. I think this work captures, like many of his cantatas and other works, it captures, like you were saying yourself, the story and the kind of the moving and heart-rendering story of Christ and his suffering, and it through the music and through the text, it brings that to life really well, I think.
Sure. Is there any aspect about this project in particular that interests you? Because this is going to be sort of a project for schools, for the Leaving Cert. Is there any aspect of what we're doing here today that particularly appeals to you?
Well, I think that it's kind of a young person's project. We're young people singing Bach. It's for secondary school students studying this work. It evolved from a conversation between ourselves about just wanting to sing Bach and enjoying Bach's music. So, all of that just contributes to the project being just fun and us just enjoying singing this beautiful music. And through that, I hope the students watching and listening will enjoy Bach even more, hopefully.
Yes, and learn while doing so.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So then, moving on more specifically to the work, do you have a favourite section of the piece, or some aspect that you particularly like singing?
Well, I love the opening and the closing choral movements, because we're all singing together and we're singing different lines, and Bach has a way of merging all these different vocal colours, and and I'm singing the bass line in those choral movements, and it's kind of the foundation of both movements. Just from a musical point of view, it's the root of the four lines, and then also my recitative and aria are just, they're beasts of those two movements. They're just these beautiful pieces of music, and the recit sets up the aria just beautifully. The drama and the story and the text, and I'm sure we'll be talking about later the word painting that Bach uses with the music and all that kind of thing. So. But they're difficult. The aria in particular is difficult. The recit is difficult because it shows the range of the bass voice going from low to high, and the aria in particular is difficult because, like Sarah was saying, you've got all those runs, those passages of semiquavers, and held notes as well. So breathing is a challenge, but you just have to do it.
Absolutely, and I think people will see, as we're performing this work, they will see all of those aspects characterised,
yeah.
particularly for people maybe who will be listening to a recording in secondary school, that it's not just an audio recording
Yes.
that sort of exists in the past and it's
Yeah,
very boring. This is more dynamic.
Yeah, and they can see the physical, the way singing works, kind of on a visual level, and just the interactions between the singers and the instrumentalists, and how that'll all add to the experience, hopefully.
Absolutely, yes. So Peter, just before we finish, would you be able to suggest other works by Bach that people who are studying the Leaving Cert should listen to?
Well, I think it's fairly obvious. Everyone's going to say the Passions. They're going to mention particularly the John and Matthew Passions. They're just beautiful works. But I also think any of the other cantatas, you know, there are loads of them. So if students want to listen to any of the other cantatas, they'll get to grips with, you know, Bach's composing techniques and different styles, and hopefully that'll inform their studies on this particular cantata, and it might bring a different perspective, or this mightn't seem as daunting if it is to a student out there, because
Or is removed.
Yes, exactly.
That it's more sort of part of a musical heritage.
Yeah, and it's within a body of work that you know, that people love and
Yes.
you know, respect. So that's
Great.
you know.
Thank you very much, Peter.
You're welcome.